What's going on, y'all? KM Best here with the best of the best for Grandmaster. Grandmaster is the newest card in Marvel Snap. He costs 2, he has 0 power, and what he does is he moves one of the cards at the location he is played on, if it has an on-reveal ability, to the middle location, and then makes that happen again. Grandmaster is a card that a lot of people were excited about, but I'm not sure if he is actually living up to the hype. So I put together 4 decks, and we also have some stats to go along with them. I do think these are the best 4 Grandmaster decks. However, I don't know how far best Grandmaster deck is going to actually take you. Here's where I started with Grandmaster. This list came from KM Worst, my evil twin, and he put it together, and I think it is a more solid starting base for Grandmaster than most things are. One thing that might strike you as a little bit interesting about this list is it effectively plays for priority in the way that a deck from like 2022 would do. This is a modern version of Leech Leader, and what it's trying to do is get ahead, play a Sarah or a Wave on turn 5, and then Alioth Grandmaster, blow up 2 lanes. Since you're ahead, you're going to always win those games. People are very surprised by this. One issue I ran into while playing it was that everyone seemed to know that I was doing it, because that's what happens when you're a streamer and you're playing this deck and most of the people you play against are in your chat. So that might actually mean that it's better for you than it is for me. This deck, as the time of recording, has about a 53% win rate on untap.gg, post infinite games only. It is one of the best Grandmaster decks according to the data, and it is cool that one of the people in my Discord was someone who arrived at one of the best Grandmaster decks on day 1. This deck actually has very few intricacies to it. Normally, this is where I'd talk about what you need to know to play this deck, but it really is very simple. Be ahead, play one of the cost reducers, blow up 2 lanes. And what that means is most of your losses, your big losses, are going to come when something that you didn't expect to be able to add power into those lanes ends up adding power into those lanes. However, I think the combo is actually a relatively minor part of this deck. Like, it's cool when it happens, but you also have, for example, Dr. Doom, which is a great target for the Grandmaster as well. We mostly just played this deck as a mid-range deck, and I do think that it is a little bit lacking in the sense that it is just doing points and the combo. There is no way to adapt to a metagame. However, Alioth does cover a lot of bad matchups, and you can just be a normal tempo Alioth deck when you play this list. So this is the first list that I started with. It is currently the second best list on Untapped. I would say it is one of the best things you can be doing with the Grandmaster, and if you already picked him up, this is one of my recommended options for him. So after playing that for a little bit, I ended up losing priority to a Brood and an Absman, and I was like, okay, what if we played Brood Absman in our Grandmaster Alioth shell? And as I played with the deck, I realized that aiming for the combo with Wave and Sarah was actually costing me games. However, Grandmaster was actually a solid fit in those Brood games on its own. The way this works is you play Brood on turn 3, and then you play, of course, Absorbing Man on turn 4. Then you Grandmaster one of them to the middle lane. So you have a perfect, incredibly full spread, and you get to play a 3-drop alongside Grandmaster on turn 5. It's sort of your backup Absorbing Man / backup Brood. It does mean that the deck is very reliant on drawing Brood and playing Brood, but having a backup Absorbing Man does make it significantly more palatable. One thing to keep in mind is what Brood's text actually says. What Brood's text says is it copies itself at any point. So you don't need to worry about order with Silver Surfer. If Silver Surfer hits the Brood and then you move the Brood with Grandmaster, well, that Brood is going to have that +2 power whether or not it's actually getting the Silver Surfer before or after the Grandmaster. This deck was a little more successful for me. I think that it was the best one that I've played with the Grandmaster because it was able to execute its game plan in a way that the other decks simply were not. And of course, it was able to gain cubes for me relatively effectively, although I will say it's another version of this Iron Patriot list, and traditionally, for me at least, Iron Patriot has had a lot higher win rate than it does cube rate, and that held up for me as well. There were some big losses when people were able to play around the Alioth, when people were expecting it to come down. And I do think that the more this deck picks up, the more you're going to have to worry about people being able to play around what you do. However, this is another very solid dumb guy deck. You literally just curve out. If you are someone who has the Grandmaster and wants to play the easiest Grandmaster deck of all time, this is a very good option. I had a pretty solid win rate with it in top 50, and I will say that I think many of the losses from big cubes were like user error rather than deck error. I think it's a solid deck, and if I had to recommend one of these decks, this is the one that I would recommend. It's also the one that I think has the most space to grow, because this is a relatively unexplored space in the metagame, and getting use out of Grandmaster in multiple ways in the deck is a very solid thing to do. I'm still tinkering with it. It is the most interesting of these shells to me. Ravonna Grandmaster is actually the highest win rate Grandmaster list on untap.gg, and I guess I understand why, but I will say I think if this is the best Grandmaster list, that's a bad sign, and I'll tell you why. If this is the best Grandmaster list, that means that all it's doing is points and it has no interaction. I am not convinced this is the best Darkhawk list. In fact, I think it is almost certainly not. And if this is the best Grandmaster can offer, it is not a card that is worth picking up. Right now, I believe that you can do better in the Brood Patriot shell, but the stats don't bear that out. This deck has a higher win rate than the Brood Patriot list post-Infinite on untap.gg. That's worrying. It's worrying to me because if this is the best this deck gets, this is not a card you need to pick up. I think that the Grandmaster is, pretty marginal even in this deck. Like, I don't even think he's making a big difference in this deck. I think he's okay, right? Like, you get double Black Widow sometimes, you get double Rock Slide sometimes, you get double Ironheart sometimes, but fundamentally, all this deck is doing is disrupting your opponent's draws and playing a decent amount of points. And there are decks that can do that while also playing tech, while also playing more disruption, while also being less vulnerable to your opponent's tech. I just don't think this deck passes the smell test for me. This is a deck that does have the best stats for Grandmaster, but I do think that it can probably be done better by non-Grandmaster decks. It's a solid, fun thing if you want to try it, but I do think if this is the best Grandmaster deck, he is not going to end up being worth purchasing. Finally, we have Lamby Series' Grandmaster Bounce list, and I am not convinced by this list either. This is a list that actually has the lowest of all the 4 lists that we looked at win rate on Untapped. This one is about 48% at the time of recording, and I am generally just not convinced because of many of the previous dynamics that we've talked about here. These Grandmaster decks tend towards just being points. There's no interaction, there's no way to deal with anything that goes bigger than you, and your interaction at best is like marginal stuff. Like, it's not actually going to be doing a lot. Like, the Darkhawk deck has the interaction of being able to like play Black Widow and rocks, but that's not really doing it every single time. And all of these decks are just point decks. I'm not sure you need Grandmaster. When I look at this list, I think, what if I cut Grandmaster for Shang-Chi? And I think that would probably make the deck better. And that is like the main issue that you run into with these kind of decks, is they are just points. And right now the metagame is such that just points is fine, but Grandmaster doesn't help you do that all that much better. He helps you a little bit. He can get you a second hood. That's pretty good. He gets you to reuse your beast and your falcons. That's pretty good. But I don't know if he does enough in the archetype to make it worth running him. And that's the issue. He can do things, but is what he's doing integral to the archetype the way other cards might be? And I think my answer would be no right now. So that is the 4th Grandmaster deck that we've looked at, and so far, they are not pretty inspiring. Look, I have played a ton of the Grandmaster. It was Twitch drops, and I streamed for like 8 hours yesterday, so this is not coming from a place of ignorance, but I will say that right now, I don't see very compelling reasons to buy this card. If I had to guess, I would rate it about a 2 out of 5, 2 stars out of 5, the Grandmaster. And the reason is that it seems like the 11th best card in all of its own decks, and it is taking up a slot that most of these decks can use better. I'm not saying it's 100% never going to be usable. It's an exciting card. One thing I see a lot is people saying, well, they'll keep releasing on reveals, and that means that eventually it'll be broken. And I do want to push back against that just a little bit, because that's what they said about Absorbing Man. And I know you're thinking right now, but KM, Absorbing Man was broken. No, it wasn't. The Absorbing Man released as a 4/3, and people were saying the exact same stuff. That did not become a good card until it got 2 extra power. If your argument is the Grandmaster is so weak that it will inevitably receive a buff and then be good, I guess I can't argue with that. I think that is entirely within the realm of possibility, but I do not think that that is something you should be counting on, per se. I don't think this is a card that's worth getting right now. I opened for it because I'm a content creator, and President Loki was in the cache, and we all salute our commander-in-chief in this household. Now, what I'm going to do now is cut to some games with the Grandmaster decks. It's probably going to be mostly the Patriot deck. That's the one I played the bulk of, but maybe I'll put a couple Conquest games with the Darkhawk deck on there as well, so you can actually see the Grandmaster kind of doing stuff. I'm not really sure. I think the Grandmaster is probably better shown in the Darkhawk deck, so let's do the Darkhawk video. We'll put a couple Conquest games on the end here so you can get a sense for how Grandmaster plays in what is theoretically, according to the stats, the best Grandmaster deck right now, although I will say, All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to cut to that video right now. Thank you so much. Enjoy the gameplay. I've been KM Best. You've been phenomenal. I'll see you in the next one. I didn't wink. I've been awake for 8 hours and I didn't wink. Good. It's just not very good. We'll probably cover it in the video, but it's just like that looks pretty fucking bad to me. Now GM was good. Oh, it's like the worst hit. That's a skill issue for sure. Think of Loki. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all, actually. I do not believe it to be a skill issue. I think he's not a very good card. Like, I think he's not a very good card. And I think he's definitely not a bounce. What the fuck are you playing with Yondu Ravonna? What the fuck are you playing with Yondu Ravonna? Holy shit. Yondu, Ravonna, and Magic. What the fuck is going on? Widow or Korg are hits here? That's a shitty hit. Okay, so... just in case this is a goddamn professor. Well, that's annoying. It's like a Scar deck? Is that what's happening here? They're scarring? I think we're dead. Yeah, like Zola beats us. This is another deck where it's like, if we had any interaction at all, this matchup is trivial, but we have no interaction. All we have is rocks and hope. I'm going to snap that on the grounds that their deck looks like kind of a mess. when there's a District X on the board. I top decked an Agent 13, which seems pretty good. And I have Zabu Darkhawk Rock Slide. Oh, goddamn, lady. That Killmonger could end up mattering later, although I think it's more likely to hurt me than help me. Oh, they slowed down my Rock Slide? Okay, never mind. We're just making 2 Darkhawks here. I was gonna be all like sad boys about it, but we're just gonna make a second Darkhawk here. That feels pretty strong to me. And so they need a Shang. And the card Darkhawk feels like it's good and very large. I have no idea what's in there, buddy. You got it. You got it. Holy shit. Hell yes, dude. What am I getting? Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, Tempo Galactus. I drew a 6-drop. I'm playing the 6-drop. That's just how it works. When I draw a 6, I play a 6. I'm having like a seagull. I've never heard a seagull in my life. Okay. If I play a Miss Marvel and it gets deathlocked, chat, I want you to know there was nothing I could have done to avoid it. Alright? I want you to know there was nothing I can do to avoid it. There's absolutely nothing I can do. Alright? Unavoidable. I guess I won that. I fucking guess. Sure. I think. Uh-oh. I was wrong about something. Oh, it appears I was incorrect about something. What was I incorrect about? You're gonna dock my ass? That's sort of the thing I was thinking about setting up for, right? Like, I just go like Darkhawk and Mystique, and it's like cool, you know? Holy shit. That's insane. Oh, fuck. Alright, so this is Black Widow literally 100% of the time. And so for this reason, I am going to play an Iron Lad that is Black Widow. Okay. That's a null and a mystique. So what's their play here? It's that being big as shit? Is that the idea? Which lane am I more likely to win? Then a mid? That doesn't make sense, right? It's got to be more than that. Shanging the Magneto? I mean, that would do it. That would totally do it. Oh my god, we made it not do it. Oh my god, we made it not do it. The Ironheart hits made them die. I just assumed they didn't have a Shang. No, Big Jerky. Mostly the answer to that is no. Alright, we're roping somebody. Cool, that's what I wanted to do anyway. That's, ooh. Gross. Okay, shit. Okay, this is unpleasant. I mean, they're probably beating my ass here, right? Like, they probably remain able to shit on me here. But, what if they don't? Like, they gotta keep pumping shit into here. You know? There's a Widow's Bite. Sarah. Jesus. Okay, this feels not good. I will admit, this feels not good. However, I am winning that. I never play a card here. I just take that. Alright. Whoa, they snapped me. Okay, that's not great. That's undesirable. That's undesirable. I'll play. That's fucking nasty. That's fucking nasty. That's rude, and I don't like it. So that means this is actually Black Knight. That's the only deck that's doing that, right? It's a Black Knight deck. It's a Black Knight deck. It's a better Ravonna hand than it is a Zabu hand, I believe. Could also be a Sarah deck running Magneto. No, I'm right. It's a Black Knight deck. Whopper, 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 indeed. So the card Magento, it's a real beating in this matchup, I would say. It's a tough one to deal with. A Friendly Cloud, thank you for the 12 months. Welcome back to the besties. Okay. There is a Widow's Bite there, I swear. It really does exist. I promise. It's really, really real. Swear to God. Yeah, invisible widow's bite. I think it goes like this. I think it goes like this, yeah? I'll be honest, I have absolutely no idea what's happening here. But I'm doing this. Snap it. I have literally no idea. But it does seem good that I'm playing every card. And we get the Miss Marvel buff. And we get double Ironheart. And they're gonna like Magento some shit. And it's gonna be 100% okay. Right? Right. They're gonna Magento some shit off a Ghost Rider. But we never get unlucky, you know? Marvel lasts, so we get more Ironheart triggers on Iron Man lands. I literally have no idea where or what the triggers matter. Like I have no idea. So I'm just not even gonna think about it. That's my ethos here. I have absolutely no fucking clue. Ghost Rider for the Magento. It pulls. Okay, so we win that. That sure is an Iron Woman. The fuck is going on over there? What's happening? Oh, God. Oh, my God. See, I have no idea what points matter. I have absolutely no idea what points matter. Like, not the slightest clue. I have no clue. Yeah, casual 3-lane dub. I think that's the... There's only one Magento roll there that kills us, and it's pulling Darkhawk specifically. Every other Magento roll, we win. I am just going to assume this is a free win against a Black Knight deck. Just going to assume this is a free win against a Black Knight. Yeah, see, our Ironheart win, the dub. You know? No idea why, but it's a dub. Why did they snap me back? They have a 4-cost Sarah? It's the only thing I can think of, but it doesn't sound compelling to me. That doesn't sound super compelling to me. The fact that I didn't have any of like he's seen what I'm playing and he still snapped me back, which just is insane. I feel like he knows I'm playing a Ravonna deck with Iron Man and Darkhawk and shit, and he doesn't know how do they stay. Yeah, like how do you possibly stay there, let alone snap back? Are you in my chat right now? Like that is actually fucking insane. It's a crazy move, extreme power move. Ha. Oh, hell yeah, Black Widow. Cook his ass. Take him to fucking school, dude. Take him to fucking school. For the record, I think we're still dead. Just throwing that out there. Fairly certain we're still dead. I can't believe they snapped back on that. That is wild. Kyera, the most expensive card in there. Kyera, the most expensive card in there. What does that mean? That's what it means. Hell yeah, dude. Oh my god, I'm literally... Is anyone smarter than me? It's actually insane. Is there a single person in the entire world with a bigger brain than your boy? Oh my god. They deserve that shit for snapping back. Also, that is just unbelievable. That is just unbelievable. That is just unbelievable. Hold on. 0 Miss Marvel value. Yes. All right.